North Shore thing. This is from the state of Washington. All high school students in the state of Washington are held to this exact same standard. Okay? So you could live here, Spokane, wherever, this would be the same graph. Except it wouldn't be purple. Because we're purple. Okay. All right, so ninth graders, what are you going to take? Okay, all ninth graders are going to take, as you see in the red box, they're going to take English, pre-AP 9 English. They're going to take math, whatever the next math is for them. And we have lots of math. So how many of your students are in Math 8? Any? There we go. You're going to take Algebra 1. How many of your students are in Algebra 1? They're going to take geometry, right? You're just going to follow the path. It's pretty easy. They just take whatever's next. They have to take world history sometime in 9th or 10th grade. And that's up to your family. They can take regular world history or AP world history. And honestly, right now, it's about 50-50. About half our kids take it in 9th, about half our kids take it in 10th. So it's kind of up to you and your student to try to figure out, like, do I want to do that in 9th grade or 10th grade? Kind of how busy are they? What else do they do? You know, that kind of thing. Highly recommended. We super highly recommend all students start their science path 9th grade, which for nearly all of our students is biology. Okay? Most 9th graders across, honestly, the United States take biology. Okay? We really recommend getting started on those PE and health credits, health especially, and I'll tell you why. The health class is designed to be really, really age appropriate for about 14-year-olds. Most of our kids take health in 9th grade. Some take 10th. Don't have your student be the one awkward student who waited until senior year to sit in a room with 9th graders talking about health things. Okay? So have them do health class, probably 9th grade, get it out of the way, or at worst, 10th grade. Life Fitness is a mandatory PE course here in North Shore. It's a great course to just take. It's all about learning about the body, healthiness, exercise, wellness. Great course. Have your kids take that, get it out of the way. And then as I said earlier, if you're thinking about college at all, open the door by taking a world language. Okay? Open that door by taking a world language. At North Creek, we offer Spanish, we offer French, we offer Japanese, we offer American Sign Language. So 4 big options to choose from. In the future, we might be adding some where that's under discussion. Right? Right now, there's at least 4. Suggested over here in the yellow corner, orange corner? I don't really know. AVID is a great class. AVID is for kids who want to go to college, but don't necessarily right now know what that's all about. Okay? So there's a course called AVID 9. It's called College Readiness for AVID 9. And it helps kids understand, like, what things do I have to do to go to college? What's the difference between a private college and a public college? What's the FAFSA? All the little things. We also offer AVID 10, AVID 11, AVID 12. And last year, our AVID 12 kids, 100% of our AVID 12 kids were accepted to college. Okay? So a good thing to think about. Okay? Lead to impact. Joseph, are you in the room? No. That's okay, because I know about it. We are starting a brand new program this year called Lead to Impact. It's different than the leadership class down at Sky Pure Leota, different than the leadership class we've had here. This particular program is designed around problem-based learning. Real-world problems getting solved by high school kids. Okay? So for example, we are already in partnership with a couple folks. Snohomish County is really concerned right now about the level of pollution in the local creeks. They want to partner with North Creek kids and have the kids figure out how are we going to fix that problem. So it's really different than textbook learning. It's not a class where you're like memorizing formulas or something. You are actually going to be working on it. We piloted Lead to Impact this year, and the PAWS organization had a problem, and at the end of the student presentation, they were like, we are totally using your solution. And the kids were like, you are? And they were like, yeah. They're actually going to implement the solution the kids came up with. Lead to Impact is only available to 9th and 10th graders. It's focused on 9th and 10th grade, problem-based learning. I can't sell it to you enough, and it's really a super hands-on, experiential class where they're learning to solve actual problems from the community. And we have, I think, 8 different community partners right now, might be more later. Apparently I have to stand over here when it'll come back, magically. Maybe not. Right? Okay? But think about Lead to Impact. And then lastly, I want to advertise Ethnic Studies. Ethnic Studies is a class where we learn about race, religion, identity, culture, just being human. And as you look around in this room, we are an incredibly, wonderfully diverse school. It is an absolute joy to see so many different languages and cultures and families here tonight. Ethnic Studies is a great place to learn more about that, because we don't all know about everybody else's culture, about everybody else's traditions, right? But this class helps us learn about that. And it's only a semester class, right? So you don't have to commit to an entire year. So we highly recommend thinking about that Ethnic Studies class, and it's just a super fun class. Okay, for those of you who have 10th, 11th, or upcoming 12th graders, here is what you're thinking about. Okay, that was mostly 9th grade. 10th grade, you're going to take English, because you take English all 4 years. 11th grade, you're taking the next math. You didn't, if you're going to do world history, if you didn't do it in 9th grade, you need to do it in 10th grade. If you already did it in 9th grade, ignore that. Okay? And then continue on in science, continue on in world language. Think about your CTE, PE, AP art credits, all those things. 11th grade, they all start to look real similar, don't they? You're taking English, you're going to take social studies. In 11th grade, you take US history or AP US. Take your next math. We recommend science. You can read the screen, right? It gets really, really similar over time. Okay? But these are just the core courses. We actually have all sorts of electives as well. Okay? All right, I just talked about Lead to Impact, so we're going to talk about that working in teams. Avid I just talked about, as well, as far as that class that helps you learn about college, how to get to college, how to navigate all those things. And I did just talk about Ethnic Studies. Okay? So I previewed those. I guess I already done my presentation. Okay, this is a big deal. And in just a few minutes, we're going to get to the actual selection sheets. But 2 years ago, the state of Washington passed a law called the Auto Advancement Law. What it says is that if your student passes the Smarter Balance test, they pass it in English, they pass it in math, etc., the law says they have to take the next most advanced course in the sequence, whether they want to or not, right? So if you're a 10th grade student, passed the 10th grade Smarter Balanced English test, they have to take AP US History, even if they don't want to take AP US History. Okay? They have to. They have to take AP of a lot of things. Unless you opt out. Opting out costs you nothing. Opting out takes no courses away from you. What it does is it gives you full control over your schedule. So if you opt out, can you still take AP US? Absolutely. Do you have to take AP US? No. That's the difference. Okay? Our recommendation, I can't tell you what to do, but our recommendation is that every student opt out in all the areas, giving them full control, and they can still take AP Government if they want, or AP Literature, but it doesn't take anything away. It just means they don't have to take advanced everything. And a lot of our kids pass the Smarter Balance test. It makes me very nervous to think about all our kids having to take the advanced everything all day long and having them be stressed out, overwhelmed, right? So my advice to you, opt out. You lose nothing. Okay? And you'll see that on the forms, and I'll show that in a second. Okay. Partly I also just said being stressed out, overwhelmed, etc. Every day in our counseling center, we talk to kids who took way too many advanced placement, college and high school, etc. classes, and they're burned out, stressed out, overwhelmed. They break down and cry, not joking. And you might not see it at home because they're keeping it together for you, but when they're at school, they lose it. So we've come up with some recommendations. If your student is going to be a ninth grader, think about 1 or 2 AP, advanced placement, or college and high school classes maximum. And then you can go up sophomore, junior, senior. Even if they take just this minimum number, that's roughly give or take 9 or 10, that will put them about 8 or 9 ahead of almost all other high school kids in the United States. The College Board itself, and I just said this in the HiCap meeting, the College Board, who makes the AP exams, who makes money off the AP exams, they published research, their own research that says, past 6 total AP courses, there's no discernible difference for kids going to college. That's their own research, and they're trying to make money. And they're saying, don't do it. So as you work with your students, we want them to take some challenging things. Trust me. What I don't want is a kid taking 5 AP exams. Most college students take 3 classes. Every now and then 4. But you're very, very, very seldom ever going to find a college student taking 5 classes the same semester or quarter. So if college kids don't do it, and they're more mature and have more skills, then let's not ask our 16-year-olds to do it. Okay? So just want to put that out there. We see the burnout. We see the overwhelmed nature of kids trying to take 5 or 6 or even sometimes 7 advanced courses at the exact same time. Okay? So just trust me on that. We are going to work with kids. We're going to have them sign a form that says, yep, we heard that. Heard the message. We're doing it anyway. Okay. That's you and your family. But we need to let them know we're so concerned about it, we're having you sign a form that says, yeah, we heard you. Okay? Because oftentimes what happens is then they come in and ask, can I please drop the class? Right? Next year, I'm not going to have any place to put them in the next class because the classes are going to be so full. Okay? So just be really thoughtful. That's all we're asking, is just be really thoughtful with your student. Okay? So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. If your student does not yet have student view, or if you don't have parent view, that's going to be critical. Because how you figure out what to take is in, does we need it? My laser works, which it doesn't. It's going to be up in course history. On the left nav bar, course history, and it's going to bring you to a graph. Now this graph is actually a Judy right now. Anything that's green, check mark, good to go, already done it, fulfilled it, you're on your way. Anything that's yellowish orangish means you're doing it right now. You're not done with it, but you're in progress. Okay, so this is a junior, I can tell, because you see US History 11 is orange. So they're in US History 11 or AP US. Okay? Anything that's gray means you haven't done it at all, and you need to do it sometime before graduation. So right now, if you're incoming 9th grader, they're all gray, because you haven't done anything yet. And that's okay. You've got 4 years. If you're about to be a senior, I've been talking to seniors about this, you've got to register for the gray things. You only got 1 more year, right? So work with your student, kind of look over the years, lots more things become green at the end, but make sure you're kind of picking the gray things. And again, the younger you are, the more you've got, which is perfectly okay. Okay? And again, I highly recommend if you don't have student view, if you don't have parent view, critical. Get student view, parent view. Okay? And our counseling office can help you if you don't know what your password is, if you need access issues, we can help you. Don't worry about it. Okay, as I said, lots of this is on the website. You just navigate to the North Creek site, kind of glide over to counseling, and then drop down to course registration. When you get to course registration, you'll see this page, and on the left nav bar over here, you'll see, oh, it's not even on the screen, but it says registration process. Cut off on my screen up here, but it's right below course registration. And over here, on the right nav bar, about right here, is the course catalog. Okay, and this year the course catalog is in 10 different languages. I had some kids notice the other day, oh, one of the languages is Hindi. And I'm like, yes it is. Right, so if that helps your family, we have it in the top 10 languages at North Creek. Okay, so that's helpful. That's just the same sort of thing. But all of this is up there. We also have videos up there on how to do things. We've loaded up as much information as we can, step-by-step processes, etc. And we're going to get to one of those in just a second. Okay. When you get to the course catalog, and that, remember, was on the right nav bar, okay, you'll see, I don't even know, I think it's something like 256 different courses. I'm not positive about that final number, but lots and lots of courses. It starts just with the title of the course. This one's geometry, okay? The second line is always the course code. The course code is what's critical because that's what you're going to enter in to actually request the classes, and we'll go through that in a minute. So it's looking for 6 total characters. In this particular case, it's looking for the MGE 100. The A/B is just a code that says first semester / second semester, meaning it's a year-long class. But what the system wants is just the code, MGE 100. Okay, and I'll show you why that matters in just a second. Okay? Below that, it's going to say the grade that kids can take that class. Make sure you look. There are some classes that 9th graders can't take. There are some classes that 11th and 12th graders can't take. For example, like Lead to Impact. Lead to Impact is designed specifically for 9th and 10th graders. So if your student's in 11th or 12th, I'm so sorry, but it's not designed for that. Okay? So make sure the grade works. Prerequisites. Okay, for some of us, that's a bit of a new vocab word. A prerequisite is something you had to do before you can take this class. And sometimes it'll say concurrently, like this one. Okay? So, for example, a prerequisite for AP Chemistry, you have to take a full year of chemistry. You cannot take AP Chemistry without a full year of chemistry. Okay? So be careful to look at the prereq. Sometimes there are some, sometimes they'll just say none. There we go. There might be some fees, you might want to look at that, like there are every now and then consumable things like the kids in ceramics pay a little fee for all the clay because they bring you the beautiful vases and cups and things like that, okay? So that's back. The diploma category, don't worry about that. The notes sometimes can be interesting. And then the big deal is the actual description. Okay, geometry, pretty easy, we all know geometry. But we have a new course this year called International Business. Okay, I mean that sounds somewhat self-explanatory, but what exactly about international business? Well, read in the course catalog. We have a brand new course this year called Cartooning. Ooh, that sounds kind of cool. What kind of cartooning? Read about it in the course catalog, right? Don't just go on just what the name is. Go in, read a little bit, okay? They're always pretty short, but they're pretty descriptive. Okay. So make sure you know the course catalog, and again, focus on the 6-digit code. Now, for our folks who are in art, lots of folks are art, and remember, art is a graduation requirement. Our art department made this pretty flowchart because they're artists, right? Okay. The classes you have to take at the beginning, you have to play digital, draw, or ceramics. Those are all prerequisites to everything else. Okay? So once you've taken draw design, you can take architecture design lab, cartooning, intermediate, graphic. Once you take digital, you can take advanced digital. Once you take ceramics, you can take advanced ceramics, and so forth. And this is in the course catalog, so you don't need to memorize it or anything. You'll see it when you click on the course catalog. But that's a great way to describe what a prerequisite is, because you can't just jump in and take just architecture design. If you didn't take draw design, you're not eligible yet. Okay? All right. Math trajectory, this is also in the catalog. There's basically a couple paths. Okay, you kind of just go down and take the next thing, whatever it is, and there's kind of a lot of levels because our kids are all over the place in math. Okay, which is awesome and neat. I used to be a math teacher, so yay. But mostly, you just follow the path straight down. The only exception is AP Statistics, sort of floating out here in space. That can be taken anytime after Algebra 2 Trig. Okay? And it can be taken simultaneously with another math class if they want. Okay? It's different enough. And a lot of kids take AP Stats. It's a great class. I used to teach it, so it's a fun class. But this is also in the course catalog, so you can just kind of follow the flow of what your next class is going to be. Okay? Now, for your older students, so if you have a student going into the upper grades, this is not applicable for our current incoming 9th graders. They have two types of classes that don't occur here at North Creek, but that they can take. One's called WANIC, which is the Washington Network of Things. Don't know what it stands for. I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. But what it is, it's really good classes that occur outside of North Shore. So, we have some students who are doing the fire and rescue program at Lake Washington Institute, learning how to be a firefighter. That sounds awesome. Some kids are like, that's great. There are some kids who go to DigiPen. If you've heard of DigiPen, they're a gaming company, coding company, etc., down in Redmond. That's what a WANIC program is. There's descriptions in the catalog, etc. Those are available, but as it says, transportation is your responsibility. There's no transportation to WANIC. And I'm sure you can imagine why. We couldn't send North Shore buses down into Kirkland and over to Redmond and down into Bellevue. Like, we don't have enough buses. Okay, so WANIC programs, you're on your own, but they're totally eligible to take those. Inside North Shore, same exact thing, they're just called satellite classes. And because they're inside North Shore, we do provide transportation if you need it. Those classes are also in the catalog. Those are things like culinary arts over at Bothell, or sports medicine at Inglemoor, or welding over at Woodinville. There's a lot of those, and again, if your student doesn't have transportation, we'll do the transportation because that's inside North Shore. So they're very similar. They're classes that don't happen here, but transportation is different depending on what it is. And again, those are for the older students only, okay? All right. And then there's Running Start. Running Start is for juniors and seniors only, okay, not eligible for 9th and 10th. And the big deal for Running Start, I know there's a lot of buzz sometimes about Running Start, but the first bullet, I think, is the most critical one. You need to be ready to be fully independent if you're going to do Running Start. Because it's college, okay? And you're going to be with college-age people. You're going to be with 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, potentially older people going back to college in their 30s or 40s. They're not going to treat you like you're a high school student, okay? So you've got to be ready to be like, I'm ready to be an adult at age 16, okay? And they don't give us or you, as parents, very much information because it's college, right? So you're not going to get a grade, you're not going to get a report card. You're not going to get a 2-week check. It's not going to be on Parent View. And unfortunately, some of our kids who think they're ready kept it from mom and dad until the very end, and we find out they failed all 3 classes. And now we're off track to graduate, okay? So for some kids, it's great. Awesome, thumbs up. We've got some very successful kids in Running Start. We also have some very unsuccessful kids in Running Start. So just be sure if you're a junior or senior and you're thinking about that, am I ready to be fully independent? And what I told the kids today, I had a really great professor one time. I didn't learn this until like senior year. I wish he would have told me this freshman year, But I tell them this because this is a little bit the way the colleges are, and it's okay that it went out, because now we know if I just back up over here, it magically turns back on. See? I don't know why that is, by the way. Here's the story I told. My professor looked at me, and he got his wallet out, and he opened his wallet, and he said, "Do you know what's in my wallet?" And we kind of looked at him like, is this part of the lesson? And we said, "Money?" And he goes, "No, more specifically. $20 bills?" We literally had no idea what he was talking about. He goes, "No, I have your money because you already paid tuition. So if you don't come to class and you don't do any work, that's okay. I have your money. And if you do come to class and want to learn and want to do work, that's great, because I have your money." Very similarly at Running Start, they expect your student to already be that independent, ready to do the work, right? If so, great. If not, be thoughtful, okay? That's all we're saying, be thoughtful. Okay, the schedule change policy for North Creek High School. It's been the same for 6 years. We do very, very, very few schedule changes, and only for very specific reasons. I met with a bunch of juniors today doing registration. I actually did yesterday too. And we said, yeah, if in August we figure out we're missing a graduation requirement, of course we're going to fix your schedule, right? You're a senior, we want you to graduate. An administrative withdrawal, sometimes, every now and then, the kiddo registers for something like, I don't know, basketball class. And right before basketball class starts, they unfortunately break their ankle. Well, basketball class is going to be really hard. So we'll change the schedule. What we're not going to change the schedule for is your student changed their mind. Okay? Here's an example. Your student said, "I want ceramics." We said, "Great, give you ceramics." Then this summer, they go to drama camp, and they love it. And they're coming back and they're saying, "Mom, I'm going to win the Oscar next year. Please put me into theater arts instead of ceramics." And you're going to call me and you're going to say, "My daughter she's winning the Oscar. She's the next Meryl Streep. Like, come on, let's go." And I'm going to say, "I hope she does. And being in ceramics is going to help her do that." Because we're not changing schedules. Okay? And there's a reason. Your kids register for all these classes. I literally go out and hire teachers to teach those classes, and I put them on contract. Well, once they're on contract, they're on contract. You adults all know this. And just because your kids change their mind, I can't say, "Bummer. I know you thought you were teaching ceramics, but you're fired because we have 10 new Meryl Streeps here at North Creek." Right? So make your choices very carefully. And this coming year, how many of you know about the board decision to add 4 new classrooms here in North Creek? Anybody? Oh, I see 1, 2 hands. Way in the back. Okay. How many of you know there's 1 or 2 houses being built in the area? How many of you know, I don't know, 17 million houses being built just south of Fernwood? We're expected to grow by at least a couple hundred students next year, just due to all the construction. We're going to add 4 additional classrooms. They're called modular classrooms. They're not portables. They're at ground level. There's no ramps. There's no ugly siding. Okay, it's going to look good. But we're going to be packed. And that means this slide is super important. Schedule changes are going to be basically impossible. Okay, just due to the population. Meaning, pick your courses wisely, because if you end up in that course, we have a motto. If you ask for a course and you got the course, you get to keep the course. Okay? Can't really change things. And this coming year, there literally might not be even a desk in the room for them to change into. Okay? So just be wise, be thoughtful. I've been mentioning that. Think about opening doors, right? And you'll be just fine. Okay? You'll be just fine. But we haven't done a lot of schedule changes in the past anyway. All right. Course planning sheets. If you brought your course planning sheet, yay. If not, that QR code, you can access it right now. I hope that pink bar doesn't affect anything. Okay, good. Thank you. You're going to want to scroll down, as it says on the screen. Once you get to that web page, that landing page, scroll down to step 5. You'll see, if you scroll down, it'll say step 1, step 2, step 3. Open up step 5, and then choose the grade level of your current kiddo who's coming in, whether they're incoming 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. And then you'll have the course planning sheet right on your phone. Your student also has the paper course planning sheet. They look like this. Okay, they'll have a packet. Have your student show it to you. Okay, they got it today, or if they go to Skyview or Leota, they got it before break. Okay, hopefully they found it. If your student has lost it, that's okay. Counseling centers have more, and it's on the website. Okay, it's just not in pretty colors. Okay, we're going to talk about the course planning sheet here in a second. The most important thing we're going to talk about is the opt-out piece. The opt-out piece in every packet is the second piece of paper. It's got 4 boxes at the bottom. And again, our recommendation is that you opt out of the automatic advancement where your kid has to take advanced everything. Opt out so that you have full control. You lose nothing. Your kid can still take advanced courses, they just don't have to. Okay? That's a big one in the packet. Your kid has to turn this back into their counselor. Okay, so hopefully they didn't lose it. Again, if they did, no big. Counseling centers have these, etc. We can get you another copy. Okay? All right. If you have the packet with you and you turn one more page, or if you're looking online, you're probably looking at something that has lots of boxes. And I'm going to explain all those in just a second. I'm holding 3 things. This is good for me. All right. This is the 9th grade form, but they're all more or less the same. At the very top of the form, and if you're looking on your phone, it says, all students must register for a full 7-period day. Okay? So I will tell you how you make sure it's a full 7-period day in just a second. Okay? The codes are up on screen. If the code on the form is a triangle/triangle, that means it's a year-long class A/B. So triangle/triangle. The triangle kind of looks like an A/B. Okay? If it's just a box, that's a semester class. And you might ask, which semester? And the answer is, computer will decide that randomly. Okay? And if it's a box/box, that's a semester class you can actually just repeat over the second semester. You'll take it both semesters. It's the same class though. Most of those are PE, and some of our kids just want to do the same thing over again. We have a number of kids who do yoga/yoga. Or they'll do weightlifting/weightlifting. Okay, great. Sounds good. Okay? When you fill this out, there are lots and lots and lots of courses on these forms. I talked into the wrong thing. Here's how this is going to work. This particular student, this incoming 9th grader, chose pre-AP English, which was a triangle/triangle, so they've darkened both of those. Then they did, I don't have this 100% memorized, I would have been impressed with myself, Intro to Engineering and CAD Lab. Those are just 2 semester classes. Okay? So far we have 4 things darkened. Just remember that number, 4 things darkened. Then on this sheet, they darkened Health and Life Fitness. Remember, we talked about getting rid of Health and Life Fitness in 9th grade. Good idea. And then they asked for drawing and ceramics. And remember, those are prerequisites to get into the other courses. So another good idea. So we had 4 darkened on the first sheet. We have 4 more darkened on this one, so we're 8 total. or 8 total, remember that number. And on the last sheet, remember we talked about starting science, so they did biology, triangle/triangle. Remember we talked about starting a world language, so they did Spanish, triangle/triangle. And then remember we said they need to do whatever the next math class is, and in this case, this student's next math class was geometry. So they did triangle/triangle. We had 8 already darkened, and now we're at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 is the magic number. Why? Because they have a 7-period day times 2 semesters. 14. You'll know your student did it right if you can look on their sheet and see 14 things darkened in. Triangles or boxes, doesn't matter. They need 14. They don't need 18, and they don't need just 6. They need 14. Okay? Now I did tell the upperclassmen, if you're going to do WANIC or Running Start, you're actually going to have 15. There's a code on here. You'll add it to your 14, telling us you're thinking about doing WANIC or Running Start, but you're still going to register for your 14 because maybe you change your mind. Maybe you don't get accepted to the WANIC program, right? Well, if you didn't register for anything, I have no courses to give you, and it might be too late for you to get the ones you want. So register for the 14, indicate the correct code for number 15 if you want WANIC or Running Start, and then we'll figure it out if you get it. Okay? 14 is the magic number. I think that's what the next slide says. No, it doesn't. That slide does. Okay, so you know you're done when you got 14. Okay, I already said all that. We're going to back up. On the very last page of the packet, on the very last piece of paper, there are 4 extra boxes. Just empty boxes, they look just like on screen. And those are for alternates. Okay? Those are for alternates. An alternate is a class your student would be willing to be in if for some reason they don't get into their first choices, the 14. Okay, if they don't get into the 14, I would be willing to be in this. Now, how many students get into all 14? I work super hard for weeks on end. I get probably 95, 96% of all kids, every single thing they ask for. Every now and then that's not possible, sometimes for logistical reasons. My computer science lab, where a lot of kids want to take AP Comp Sci, has 36 computers. Well, if 74 kids ask for Comp Sci, I can only fit 72 of them in the room during 2 periods. That means the computer will randomly spit out 2 kids, and they can do it next year. Okay, and it's random. There's no preference, no priority. The computer just goes, you're out. Okay, those 2 kids will get their alternate if they put an alternate down. And some kids do. They wanted to be in AP Comp Sci A, and their alternate was AP Computer Science Principles. Maybe there was room in that. Thumbs up, yay. What happens though, if you don't put down any alternates, is it says right up there on screen, I understand that if I don't put anything down, I may be placed in any available course and I don't get to ask for a change. So if you don't put down any alternates and I can't get you in, maybe I put you in beginning farming. Maybe you're in underwater basket weaving. I don't even know, right? I'm just gonna put you in those. And then you're like, but I don't wanna be a farmer. I have no desire to farm. And I'm like, bummer, you didn't give me any alternates. Sorry, maybe next year. So have your student put down alternates they would be willing to be in, okay? It's very, very rare, like I said, 95, 96% of your kids, they just get everything they want, they get their top 14, but on occasion, I need this info, okay? I really do need the info, okay? Quick question, yes? Good question. He said, is it semesters or year-longs? Make a little of both. Notice this example, they gave 2 semesters. How do I know they're semesters? Because the code has no A/B. They gave a couple year-longs, How do I know? Because the code has A/B. So I would recommend a little of both, okay? Just in case, especially if one of their electives was a year-long class. Like one of the electives some kids choose is Intro to Robotics. That's a year-long class. Well, I only have 36 robotics stations. If 38 kids register, 2 kids are getting beginning farming, right? No, because they're gonna have alternates. It won't be beginning farming. Yeah. Good question. He said, you know, the computer randomly kicks the kids out, which it does, but there is an order, okay, and the juniors were happy about this. Because they're graduating, juniors always get first priority, then sophomores, then freshmen, okay? Because ninth graders have 3 more years where they can get something, whereas juniors have, this is the last year that they can possibly get it. The question is, are they guaranteed to get in next year? I can't guarantee it, but again, given how rare it is that they get booted out anyway, most of them get in, and if they really want it, we'll work with them. Okay? Alternates. We're not quite up for questions yet. Hang on. We'll get there. Okay, because I want to make sure I honor time as well. So step 1 is making sure this piece of paper has 14 darkened things and alternates, and opt-out form, okay? And they keep it, and they hold it, and they hug it. No, I'm just kidding. They can't hug it if they want. But then, in order to actually register, they go back to student view, okay? Once they know what it is, they're going to go back to student view, and they're going to go to course request. Okay? And we actually have a little video online. There's actually a QR code in every classroom around campus in case kids forget how to do it. It's actually really simple, but they're going to go in, they put the 6-digit code in, it'll say click here to add your course requests. I mean, it's really simple. And then you put the 6-digit code, it brings up the options, you hit add, go to the next one. Most of your kids, they will put them all in student view in 3 minutes. Honestly, if they filled the form out, it might take 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, it's really, really, really simple. They're gonna know they're done when their student view account looks like the right side over here. Notice what this person did. You can count them in your head if you want, but this adds to 14. There are 14 selections, one of which now is pink, don't know why, okay? They also have, if you look, every one of their A's matches the B right below it, because that's a year-long class. So look here at the bottom. WLS 200A, that's Spanish 200 first semester, Spanish 200 second semester. All of the A's have to match the B's. Semester classes don't have an A or a B. So ADD 100 up at the top, that's a semester class, that's drawing and design. PLF 200, right in the middle, that's a semester class, that's life fitness. Okay? So you'll know your student's done if their column has 14 and A's match the B's. And you can check that with them. I would have your student show you on their phone or their computer, however they're doing student view. Okay? And make sure that they have that. Or if your student's older and they want to do Wannick or Running Start, they're going to have 15. Okay? So they'll have 15. Okay? And then next week, so you have from now till next week, if your student is currently in middle school, we're coming back to check all this personally and lock them in next Wednesday. So you've had since before break until next Wednesday. If your student's currently in high school, they're here at North Creek already, we're checking this next week during advisory. Your advisory teacher is going to have you all show your phone or computer and make sure you have 14, A's match the B's, etc. We're going to do that in advisory. And then you're going to meet one-on-one with your counselor and they'll lock you in. Okay? So we're getting to the end. Okay, we've got about another week. Should be plenty of time to make these decisions, right? And the honest answer, putting them in, takes literally a couple minutes. Okay? Your student does need to bring the paper form with them, though, to any registration event coming up. So if you're at Skyview and Leota next Wednesday, bring the paper with you. okay? Because what we do is we look to see, did everything you put down on paper match everything that's in the system? If so, we're good to go, we lock you in. If not, we're saying, ooh, let's fix that. Or, ooh, your A's don't match your B's. We try to fix it as fast as possible, okay? And in high school, you're gonna meet with your counselors, and they'll lock you in. Because the counselors wanna know, especially for you incoming juniors, did you take all your grad requirements, right? So that you can graduate from high school. All right, we're about ready for some questions, but I wanted to do a couple quick other things. And before I do that, as you think of questions, look at how many people are here. There are probably 500 people here. I cannot answer questions about 500 individual children. Much as they are cute, I can't do it. So if you have a question, think to yourself, do 50 other families in the room probably have the same question? And if you're like, yeah, I bet this is applicable to every kid in 9th grade, feel free to ask it. If you're like, well, this is actually about my student and their particular course that they wanted to take, well, you're going to email the counselor. Okay? And I've already told the counselors to expect emails. You'll email the counselor for that question. So if it's really particular to your child, and I know you want your child's question answered, I get that, but we just can't do it in an audience of 500. Okay? Lastly, all of the data out there says that being involved in clubs, activities, and sports at high school, statistically it'll show you, kids involved get better grades, have better attendance, have better mental health, etc. And clubs, activities, and sports is where a lot of kids find friends, right? Because we share a passion. We're both, on the swim team. We both love swimming. That's a passion we share, let's be friends. Right? Or we're both in the robotics program. I love robotics, right? Awesome, you do too? Sweet, right? They find friends. We are worried at the high school level about kids who don't get involved in anything. That makes us worried. Makes us worried about attendance, grades, mental health, and for any of your kids who want to go to college, and I told this to the HiCap group, colleges want to see a well-rounded student. They don't want to see a student who does nothing but study all day long. They also don't want to see a student who does nothing but sports all day long, right? They want to see a well-rounded kid. I'll tell the quick story I told in HiCap meeting. I used to work at a different, very high, prestigious high school, and my ASB president was a senior, 4.0, valedictorian, took 13 AP classes, too many, okay, was the captain of 3 sports, was Asian American, applied to this little school you might have heard of called Stanford, and didn't get in. Do you know how many spots there are at Stanford? There are about 4,000 undergrad spots. Do you know how many 4.0s apply? 8,000. Okay? Having a 4.0, having 13 APs, doesn't do it. Turns out it was his essay. His essay didn't show how well-rounded he was. He applied to his backup school, not his backup school, okay, it was Harvard. It was, I'm not joking, but instead of an essay, we had him write a recipe. And we actually literally took like recipe books, like Martha Stewart and all that kind of stuff, wrote a recipe for the leadership he learned about and showed as captain of sports and ASB, etc. Not only did he get into Harvard, he got a handwritten letter congratulating him on his essay. Harvard was looking for somebody who was extremely well-rounded and wasn't just the cookie cutter. Right? The cookie cutter these days, ask ChatGPT to write your essay for you. I mean, right? That's out there, it's a thing. That's not what your kids need. They need this. This year, our clubs includes, by the way, it says, and many, many more. It's way longer than that. We have so many different clubs. They meet during the school day. Sometimes they do meet after school or on weekends. Like, we have a phenomenal DECA program in FBLA and FCCLA, etc. Lots of great clubs. If your student doesn't find a club, they can invent their own. And it's okay to invent the beginning farming club. If you want that as a club, that'd be fine. Right? Beginning farming, I like it. We also have sports. All the high schools have the exact same sports. Fall season, winter season, spring season. And that's a great way for your student to get involved, find a friend, get exercise, learn leadership, learn how to play under pressure, learn to play with dignity and sportsmanship, right? All great things. So have your student get involved. Okay. Finally, and we are running out of time, and I do honor time, this next slide is so important that I'm going to show it again. I'm serious, right? We already showed that slide. Make really smart choices. I will work my tail off to get your kid all the classes they want. I will do a great job at it, and I will get nearly all of you every class you ask for. But changing your mind in the summer, changing your mind because I just don't wanna, isn't a thing. Okay? So be super, super, super careful. All right. Again, if you have specific questions about your child, that's an email to the counselor. And with our last 2 minutes, does anybody have a question that 50 families might have? Oh, I saw that hand go down. I saw it go down. It went like this. I think she went 50, 12. Okay.
So given that college applications is so important, where your Stanford kid got into Harvard just because he changed his college application, so what do we do for college applications? Like, how do kids learn right in college?
Great question. How do they learn all about it? They can do a couple things. They can take Avid. That's a really good one. We actually have a course senior year called College and Career Writing, where at the beginning of the year they focus exclusively on that essay. We have a class called Adulting 101, where they learn how to write a resume, right, et cetera. And resumes are an important part of the college app process, et cetera. And counselors work with them throughout the year. Okay, so lots and lots and lots of ways we help. Okay, I'm going, you judge. Is it 12 or 50? All right.
They can do the sports, right? How many seasons they should do the credits for the sport?
Great question. So if your child wants to use sports to transfer out one of the PE requirements, they have to do 2 seasons for every 0.25, okay? So if they want 0.5 credits, 2 seasons for 0.5, 4 seasons for 1.0, and that's the most they can trade out, okay? But it's not a good idea, and I told this to some juniors this week. They were like, okay, I've got 3 done, and I need 1 more for the 1.0. So next spring in senior year, I'll do that one. And I'm like, what if next spring in senior year you get injured and you're not on the team? And she goes, what would happen? I would say, you won't graduate. So don't wait until senior year to get these things done, okay? If you're going to use sports, use them early so we already know they're done, check mark, finished, right? We're not all nervous, we're not all freaking out in May of senior year. I don't like freaking out in May of senior year. Okay, I'm going to do one last question, and then we're all going home because we all have families, me too. My teachers all have families, and I'm coming back here. I'll do one last question. Uno.
Have, say, 4 alternatives. Is there a way to order them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, if you want to write first preference, second preference, third preference on your alternatives, that'll help the counselors. That's a great idea. Love that. We're going to add that to next year's form. I love that idea. Okay, you are awesome. We all have families. You're going to have a great time at North Creek. This is a great school filled with great kids and great staff, and especially great parents. Don't get wet, drive safely. See you later.